So yes, everything he was saying, it's really important for us to get people who are not just Palestinians. The fact that we have Americans who are starting to understand the conflict more. You've seen protests throughout the world happening in crazy amounts. I think we just saw pictures of Cape Cod earlier today. Ridiculous, the amount of supporters who are coming out. So it's really important, especially for Palestinians, those who are here. Palestinians automatically, we know what's going on. We've lived with family members who have died. We understand what's going on, but it's more beneficial for us to get people who are not Palestinian, those who relate from different backgrounds, come from different countries, to understand what's going on. The fact that people are out here today to understand what Palestinians are going on. And like I said, none of us will understand it until we're actually there in their lands, going through that. A little bit of background, I have family in the West Bank and Ramallah right now, and as they're fortunate, right now they're safe for the most part, but they constantly have to, hear the cries from their neighbors in Gaza being killed, and they're having protests themselves. Families' homes are surrounded by tanks right now, and they keep saying, "Oh, we're not Gaza, we'll be fine." But you never know, because with this war that's been going on for so long, you can think you're safe in 1 second, and the next day you're not. And with regards, you guys have been hearing a lot about what's going on with the ceasefires and everything like that. My personal opinion is that these ceasefires will never work. They're not working. The reason why, Israel will always have an upper hand. And there's no peace for the Palestinians until the Israelis lift their hand off of Gaza, lift their hand off of West Bank. Hamas right now, with what they want in their negotiations, is very basic stuff. They are asking for simple things just for a peaceful area. They want justice. They want borders lifted. They want basic things that any American would say, "Oh, that's common sense. It's human rights." No blockade and end the occupation is a very, small task. Hamas could be asking for more. Get rid of Israel. Leave our land. No, they're asking for a simple thing, is to let our people live in peace. And that's why right now what's going on in Gaza might just be the ultimatum, the end of what's happening between the Israelis and Palestinians, because they're not stopping. And that's why Palestinians, our people, they are the strongest people. I'm going to quote one of my favorite poets. She said, Palestinians teach life. And people don't understand that, is that they constantly, when you hear Palestinians talk about the cause, they talk about how strong their people are, and no matter how many children they've seen blown up. I've met people who have saw their families literally murdered in front of their faces, and you think they would have such a hate for the world. No, they're strong because they're Palestinians and they stand on this land, and they don't need, for the most part, Palestinians have done this alone in their country. They haven't had support from most Arab countries, Arab leaders around them. They've been alone, but now we're starting to see more of an uprising from other countries. So it's really beneficial for people to reach out to any person from any race to get them to understand. It's all about word of mouth. So in regards to the children that have died in Gaza, right now the number is updated to over 1,900 people have died in a month. Ridiculous numbers that you would say to yourself, if you heard this happening in any other country, that's ridiculous. But still we wait. We still wait for peace for them, and we still wait for justice. And as bad as it sounds, there are a lot of lives that are going to be taken in this, but Palestinians aren't stopping, and we're not stopping. And we're hoping this will be the end to the blockade and the end of the occupation, because Palestinians aren't quitting. Anyone else want to say anything specific?
Even the people in the West Bank, they're not really safe, because they're always
Closer.
No, just put it closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close to your mouth.
I just wanted to comment on that even Palestinians in the West Bank, they're not really safe, because they're always going into houses, kidnapping people, putting them in jails, in detention without even charges. And if anything happens, they go and they demolish houses. In Jerusalem right now, they are demolishing houses to make it more like a Jewish city. So it's just going on, and it's getting worse. So it's not only in Gaza, it's just in the West Bank. That's what
Thank you. Anyone else want to say any words, or where you're from, how long you've been supporting the conflict, anything like that.
I agree with what some others said, that whatever we do, it's really not enough. I think our big problem is that so few American people understand the true situation in Israel and Palestine. And I know that from my own experience, because I myself had virtually no understanding until 2 years ago, when my wife and I went on vacation, and for no other purpose than vacation, to Jerusalem, and had the opportunity to tour the West Bank with a very gracious Palestinian man whom we became friends with. And I saw for the first time with my own eyes what the situation was there, and was absolutely appalled by it. My wife and I went there with kind of the vague understanding that Palestinians were all terrorists, and for no very good reason except insanity, were, from time to time attacking Israelis, attacking Jews. I really did not know, and I'm embarrassed now to admit it, I did not understand that this wonderful state of Israel was built on stolen land, and that the process of stealing, the process of theft continues to this day, with the building of settlements in the West Bank, with the bombing, with the genocide in Gaza. It's a process that's been going on fitfully for over 60 years now. It's a process, and I say I had this insight while riding around the West Bank, and the driver saying, no, we can't go there, that road is for Jews only. And when I had heard about settlements, I didn't really know what they were. He pointed out on a hilltop, said, that's a settlement up there. And as a reporter, which I was at the time, I said, oh, wonderful, I would love to see a settlement, and I would love to talk to the people there. Stop, go up to the settlement and stop. And he laughed, and he said, what, do you want to get shot? The whole thing was an eye-opener from beginning to end, including being humiliated and degraded at the Kalandia checkpoint. And I came back. It changed my life. It really did. It's been 2 years, a little over 2 years now. And I think our big problem is people who have today the same mentality that I had 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, of just sort of not knowing. I mean, I don't think American people are that bad. I think if they knew, what I know, if they saw what I saw, things would be different. But I'm convinced the media does deliberately keep the underlying truth from us. I read the news stories, as we all do, and I see, Hamas today fired 15 rockets, and Israel mistakenly bombed a school and unfortunately killed 45 children. And Netanyahu says this, and John Kerry says that. The day-to-day facts, I think, are probably accurate. But the big picture, the underlying picture, is concealed from us. That Israel exists as an act of dispossession, as an act of theft, and this is ongoing, and that it's not for nothing that Palestinians strike back at Israel. Whatever we do, whatever we can do to spread this understanding, I think is probably enough. But I've decided for myself that I am going to do what little bit I can, and I'm glad to see everybody here. I'm sure you're likewise committed to do what little we can to spread this understanding to other people, in the hope that maybe someday the United States will, at the very least, step back from this unqualified, unquestioned support of Israel, which to my mind is just an absolute disgrace to this country, in addition to being a catastrophe for the Palestinian people.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pass around the mic. I just want everyone to sort of